welcome to Stacy's Homestead, and we're going to be doing a quick biscuits and gravy. So I already did the bacon, rendered the fat from the bacon, and we're going to be using that grease. Now I have my biscuits cooking already, and we're just going to be focusing on the gravy today. So I'll just bring it in and show you how it's done. Alright, so we got our bacon grease in here, and I really don't measure, I just pour it off till it looks good, because you know I'm an expert like that. But I would say about a 1/3 cup of grease in here. Now bacon grease is the best, and it's the only thing I use for biscuits and gravy. So I mean, I guess you can use any other grease, I'm sure, but it just won't have that same flavor. So go ahead and use other oils. You need an oil or some type of grease, but bacon grease is going to be your best one. Now this is a 1/2 cup of flour. So a 1/2 cup of flour will give you about, let's see, it'll give you enough for 3 people for biscuits and gravy. Probably about, if you stretch it, about 4 people. Okay, so it's gonna end up being like, I would say a 1/2 cup is more for 3 people, because if you like gravy, it'll give you about this much of your pot. I don't know how that would work out, but I know 1 cup makes a 1/2 pot. So I'm going to do a cup, that way we have leftovers. So see, I have enough grease for 1 cup. So that was a 1/2 cup. And now here's another 1/2 cup. So that's 1 cup of flour. Now 1 cup of flour is usually, I always work with that because I like to have leftovers. And there we go. See, it's all absorbed now. That's how I like it. That's how I like it. And we're going to mix it in. Just like that. There. A 1/2 cup will give me 1/2 pot. That's what I usually work with. About a third of oil and a 1/2 cup. If you need to add more oil, you can do that. If you need to add more flour, you can do that. Okay, now we're going to cook the flour, because I don't like the taste of raw flour. But before I do that, you want to get your liquids ready to rock and roll here. So let's leave this here. I'll go get my milk. You need canned milk. Alright, so you can either use your home canned milk, which if I were to do that, I would add just maybe a tiny bit of sugar to it to give it more of that sweetened condensed milk flavor. And I always keep some of this on hand too. So I'm going to do it with this canned milk, because most of y'all probably have this. Okay? But if you're going to do regular milk or your own home canned milk, you add a bit of sugar to give that little sweetness that it needs, that is usually in this. So, and sometimes, depending on the bacon you use and the grease, the flavor of the grease, you might want to just put a little bit of sugar in too. So it's all on your taste. So, once you get this going, taste it, and if it tastes good, then you're good to go. But if it needs that certain something, it's only like a small amount of sugar. It would be like a fourth teaspoon of sugar. That's all that you would need to add. Alright, so let's cook this. Let's get that heat on and start cooking our flour so it doesn't taste raw. And then you're gonna pour, for this, for 1 cup of flour, you're gonna use this whole can and fill this whole can with water, and then use the water. But don't pour all the water in, just pour the water in as needed, if it's, to thin it out. So we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna get also extra water just in case, because you might need extra water. So when you're dealing with flour, it really just depends on the moisture in the air, your humidity, so that just, the humidity affects how much water you add when you're cooking, and even your atmospheric pressure affects things too. So just let's cook off We're making a roux here. A little roux. Little roux idea. So let's cook this flour up. I probably could use a little more grease, but I don't mind it being like this. So let's let it cook a bit. We got our milk at the ready here, and our water at the ready, our extra water. And so while you're doing this, you can go ahead and put your flour away and clean up. My son's watching a movie in the background, so I usually have some type of background noise sometimes, so that's just how it is, you know. But yeah, at least it's not the music, because the music is harder to deal with, because then I have to try to cover that sound with another music. So, alright, it's cooking. You just want to get it a little bit browned up here. Normally if I had more grease in here, it would be more liquidy. But this is just fine. And if you want, you can add to this a little bit of olive oil, and it won't affect the taste at all if you feel it needs more grease. Or even you can do butter. So we have Predator, the movie Predators in the background. Sorry about that. Alright, so it's kind of turning a little bit brown. I like that. That's what I want. I'm used to making gumbo and stuff, so that's what I usually go for. Alright, this is going to swell up fast. So we're going to pour our milk in. And so the liquid ends up making the flour swell up. Alright, so see, it got thick real fast. Take it off heat real quick while you fill this with with water to get that milk out. Alright, so we got our can filled with water, and we're going to add it to this because it's too thick. So we're going to add it. We'll start off adding half a can. Okay, leave the other half aside and mix it in really good. And then determine, okay, get it all smooth. I splash everywhere. So see, it's even thicker than it needs to be. So that's why we have an extra cup of water on the side. So I'm gonna add about half. Make sure your heat's on medium now, so you don't burn. Medium high or medium low. Alright, more liquid. See, it's almost about a half a pot, like I said. About a half a pot for 1 cup. If you want it less than that, do half a cup. It just gives you a general idea how much gravy 1 cup will make. Gravy, 1 cup of flour always makes a half a pot of gravy. So you can gauge how much flour you need from there. Or go ahead and use the rest of this water here. And if it's cooking too hot, take it off heat. You have to do that with eggs too sometimes. It's eggs and gravy that I end up taking off heat. Because of my gas, I have a gas burner, so it cooks a little hot sometimes. Alright, so that's good. That's about the consistency you want, like pudding. That's, you know, and it'll thicken up as it sets too, so keep that in mind. Alright, so let's turn it on low now, since it's how we want it. And we're going to add our salt in. Now this is salt to taste. So, I mean, I just end up, I never measure. Alright, so let's say let's put in a teaspoon. Do a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to shake enough to cover the top. That's how I do it. I just do a light cover at the top. And that would be probably a teaspoon of salt for y'all. But how I do it is I just always add seasonings enough to cover the top. And see, it's getting thick, so it's a little too thick. So we're going to add more water. Add more water here. And once it's boiling, the boiling point, that's as thick as it's going to get, usually. So, alright. There we go. And see, I'll have enough leftovers for tomorrow. Gravy doesn't last too long in the fridge though, so it's only good like the next day. So if you have leftovers, make sure you eat it the next day. Tastes good. So we need probably enough to, let's coat the top again. That's how I season, and I just put a thin layer on the top of my entire dish. Because you can't take salt away. You can add it, but you can't take it away. So it's best just to add it slowly. I wouldn't even measure a teaspoon. I would just be adding it slowly and tasting it. Because once you put too much in, it's ruined. It'd be ruined. Okay, let me get a spoon. It's too hot for my fingers. Alright. That's perfect. That's perfect. Turn the heat off. And add some pepper. Now my bacon wasn't very sweet. Usually I like to do the brown sugar bacon. And so I'm going to add a little sugar to this. Just a tiny, tiny bit of sugar, and I'll show you. It doesn't even have to be much. Like that much sugar will enhance the flavor with your salt. It'll just, bam. Like less than, like I said, like a fourth of sugar in there. And this is how you make sausage gravy, or shit on shingles, as my grandma calls it. You just put sausage in it, though. But this is bacon gravy. Alright. See how thick it is? That's real good. That's perfect. Probably a little more pepper. Good. A little more pepper. And then there we go. And there's a half a pot. A half a pot of gravy. Okay, real quick, I got some fried eggs going to go with these biscuits and gravy, and I just put a little bit of bacon grease in my pan and crack your eggs and just fry them up. It's really good in that bacon grease. So I had to take a shot of that. That just looks delicious. Alright, when this is done, we'll be plating it up. Okie dokie, y'all. So we're all done. We're putting our biscuits up here on the plate. Let's get our gravy over here. Let's get a spoon. Okay, so we got our biscuits and we got our gravy. Let's put our gravy on our biscuits here. There we go. That looks good. We have a lot of gravy because it's just delicious. Got my eggs here. Got the eggs going. And then get our bacon. About 3 pieces of bacon, and there you have it. And that's what we do every Sunday. This is our breakfast every Sunday. It's super delicious. Put a little bit of Tabasco on there, and taste it. Taste it here. I love biscuits and gravy. It's our Sunday breakfast every Sunday. It's good stuff. Well, that's all there is to that, and we'll just talk to you later, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye.